Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my channel, and today in this video I'm going to talk about a new package that I have just found out through a Reddit conversation, and that is Scramble, a Laravel Open API documentation generator. Now, before I go into the nitty-gritties of how to use the package, we need to understand what is the use of this. So if you are building APIs using Laravel, which I definitely do a lot of times, it is very important that the API's documentation is available for the front-end team to consume. Whether it is a web application being built on top of React or Vue or some other technologies, or you are building the APIs for a mobile app. If the API documentation is not strong, then believe me, we are talking about a lot of miscommunication and a lot of back and forth during the development. And so a strong API documentation can solve these problems. Now, typically in any PHP based and hence Laravel based application, there are two types of ways that API documentation can be created. So the first one is PHP docs based annotations. However, the downside of this is that your code does get cluttered and you have a lot of unwanted thing inside your code file. And the second obviously is maintaining an API spec file manually. However, as you can understand, because both of these approaches mean you have to do some additional bit of writing or take some additional effort to generate the documentation, there are good chances that developers will feel lazy about it. But this package takes something into consideration, which is static code analysis. This allows having fully automated API documentation, and that is what this package is doing. So this is at a very high level what the gist is, what the package is based on. There are quite a few other packages available, like I think it's one of them is Scribble and stuff like that. But this one particularly generated a lot of interest in me because the ease with which you can generate the documentation. So without wasting much time, let's get started and see how we can use this. So I'll go directly to my installation section because I already have a Laravel code base, which I have just created, a fresh Laravel installation. And what I will do is, over here, I'll just install this composer package. Does this have a dark theme by any chance? No. Okay, not a problem. Anyways, I keep the dark theme only for screen recording because I typically love the light version. Okay, so once you have installed your Scramble package, you get these two API routes. I'll show you. Okay, you can see docs/API, docs/API JSON. So why don't we look at that? Docs/API. Okay, I need to serve that application, so port 8000, and if I now refresh, I can see something. Now, one thing that you would have seen is in the route list, right now there is no API routes. That's because the latest version of Laravel doesn't come with the thing. So install API. Once this is done, it will install Sanctum and my API routes will be published. Yes, get that into action. And I will have these traits. The table will be migrated. And now if I do route list, I have an API/user, but that will not come over here. What I found is it doesn't take closures into consideration, which I find to be logical because you can't do too much of static analysis on those classes or those routes. However, in here, we are going to go deep into how we can do those APIs using typical resources. But before that, a few small tweaks. You can, push this config into your code base, and if you go over there, you can control certain things. For example, if your API path is something other than /API, you can change that. You can put your domains, quite a few other things, the versions and everything. You can put a description as well. This is to do app API docs, something like that. And if you refresh over here, not this, you can see some things are coming over here. So these are certain things which you can play around with. It does take into consideration your env app name. So my to do app, if I do that, it takes into consideration again. Okay, so the app name is visible, and those kind of small things can be done. Now I will create a controller. Okay, it's here. And then let us open up API route. I do this, and now in here, if I do route list, something is wrong. Yes, I think I know what happened. This is a very common mistake that I make. I don't know why. Right, we have these things, and if I refresh, I have all these things. One beautiful thing is, if you see over here, it also takes the description from your docs. So if you have something in here, display a list of your to-dos, maybe. Refresh, and can you see? It automatically updates. But now let's take it to the next level. So we have seen that all the methods are visible. I don't need this one. Store is fine. This is fine. This is not required. Should have done the API ones, but that's fine. Okay, and if you see now, what just happened? Okay, I should have done the only, but I will handle that later. Yeah, so this is coming up pretty nicely. I need to create a model, otherwise there is no point. So I'll create the migration as well. Let's keep things simple, not too much fancy things. So description, Boolean is complete, default is false. Okay, that's it. And now I will just do, oops, where is my model? Yeah, this one. So in here, first of all, protected. I set the fillable fields because that is what is required. And then I do the cast. So I have done this because now the model really understands the attributes a little better. It is best to be as much type sensitive as you can, declare those types, because once you start doing it, you will see these nitty-gritties starting to help you a lot. Okay, now so far nothing will change, but why don't we handle our create first, or rather the store? Okay, so add a new to do. If I refresh, yes, it comes over here. Right now, there's no details about what is required, what is the response, and stuff like that. But I will show you the documentation once, because you need to be also a little familiar with the documentation. If you go to the requests part, and you will see that it understands validation rules based on the request validate and the this validate inside the controller, and it even understands the validator make, plus it understands the form request. So I guess all the three ways of validation it will pick it up. So in here we will do the request validate. We have only one, unfortunately, but that's fine. I will do required string minimum 3. Perfect. Refresh, not this one. Can you see immediately I have few informations like this is a required field showing in red, string should be more than 3 characters, and immediately I get a body definition. And obviously you get the curl call as well. Let's see what else do we have. You have all this nice little stuff that you can generate as well. So these are pretty handy. Anyways, we will stick to the curl ones. Now I have body, and this is what it is giving. Now let's just say we create the to do. Sorry. And then oops, what am I doing? Yeah, and then I return the to do. So now at this point, can you see it? First of all, it also started giving you the 422 response, right? Which means it does tell you that you can expect a 200 or a 422. And this is very useful for the front end developers. And it is also saying that you'll get a response, obviously, but it doesn't tell you what kind of response. In here, there are two ways to do this. One is this one I haven't tried actually. Let me see. Will it pick up the model? No, it didn't. So one way is, which I saw in the docs, was somewhere in here. Yes, @response. Okay. So one option is that you do @response and then to do. If you do this, immediately can you see there is one schema added over here, and it is not taking that. And why is that? What if I do this? Okay, it is not doing its thing. So maybe I can do pay bill. Okay, I haven't migrated. Now if I do send request, okay, perfect. I think it takes one request to understand the object. It must be saving certain things. I'm not very sure about that. I'll try to figure it out, but it picked it up, right? And this happened because I declared this. If I remove this, it goes away. Okay. Refresh, and I can see this. Now, there is one more way where we can give it a little more details. So for example, I don't want this created at and updated at, maybe for some reason or ID I don't want to do. So in that case, what I can really do is, let's say PA make resource to do resource. I do this, and then okay, these are three things, and then maybe something additional like this. Now, if I go over here and do something like this, and I remove this line, can you see it understands your data, right? And that is the beauty of resource classes as well. It understands the structure and it is giving you the hint accordingly. So now if I do something like pay mobile bill, it will send the request and it gives me the response. ID2 is complete null and name Amitav. Okay, so this is done, and now basically the rest of the things fall pretty easily. For example, if I do return pop, to do query order by descending ID, and if I hit refresh, it's over here. I can do response like this, and it will say that I'll get a collection of or an array of to-dos, which is good. You can try this out. And obviously you can even do a response collection, which will mean that it's a little more detailed. So for example, if I do to-do collection and over here do data is some way, we pass a status, let's just say. So we can do that, or maybe a request ID, something of that sort. And then over here, I remove this line, we get the to-dos, and we do return new like this. Now refresh, and can you see I get a lot more detailed response about this. And yeah, that's a preview. And also I can see that these schemas are available, which means at any point developers can go directly into those schemas and understand, because at some any point, right, if someone is saying that the response is going to be a to-do resource, I just can refer to these as well, right? And even if somewhere we are passing to-do collection, this is the schema, right? It understands that there is a data and there is a status. So at a very generic level, if you are for example, the mobile developers, I have seen that they create those getters and setters, those high level objects. So they can very easily do that based on these schemas. It will help them, and it also allows us to manage data pretty well. So overall, I would say that this is a very quick gist of what this package is. It's pretty strong and can do really great things, and I have just given you a quick gist of what it can do. It has security aspects, it has a lot of configuration, maybe if that suits your use cases. But yeah, I pretty much liked it, and this is something which I'm going to use in my next project, or maybe in existing ones as well, and hope you like that as well. Share your feedback about what you see and what you feel about this package in the comments below. If you like this video, then do click on the thumbs up icon and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.